So my name is Stan Chudnovsky, and I'm with Wonderhill, where I'm a co-founder and CTO. We were waiting for a bunch of things that actually didn't probably happen. One of the speculations from the very beginning was that would be the moment when Facebook really going to start pushing credits. That is a big unknown because that kind of changes the whole thing, and how they decide to go about it and what they decide to do with that and when they decide to do with that actually changes a lot of dynamics around the whole gaming infrastructure on Facebook altogether. Just because it's not a trivial when platform introduces something like payment method, and that payment method is 30% more expensive than anything else you have out there, because Facebook cut is 30% of the total.
Yeah, revenue share.
That clearly changes everything, because they definitely have means to push it down to all the developers. And so there are a bunch of ways it can go, right? They can introduce it as an alternative payment and use their own power to proliferate it to Facebook users, and then it's just an add-on to game developers. Another way to go is to say, like, we're going to use you game developers to push this currency down to our users by telling you that you're going to get certain limitations if you guys are not going to use Facebook credits. And of course, since most of the payments that are happening on Facebook today are happening on gaming type of applications, that would be the most natural way for them to go if they really want to proliferate the credits around the users of Facebook. But then it introduces a huge complexity for the gaming companies, because all of a sudden, instead of paying 4% to PayPal or 2.5% to Visa and MasterCard, we now all of a sudden have to pay 30% to Facebook.
Yeah.
And how they would go about it clearly is their choice and their decision, and that changes the dynamics of the whole gaming space quite considerably, quite fast. And so they decided probably to ignore it for now.
Yeah.
In a sense, to say, you know what, we're not going to push anything down to you guys. If you want to use credits, you can use it. If you don't want to use credits, you don't use it. We are just interested in you as the drivers of our growth. So what it suggests to us is that Facebook still goes for growth. They're not trying to squeeze anybody in any way, shape, or form unless it naturally happens. And it's probably there is another year before they are really jumping hardcore into the monetization part of that wonderful platform that they built. I think it's positive in every other way.
Yeah.
I think the percentage they charge clearly is the most important part of it, because we're dealing with money, and obviously how much money you have left, therefore, is the most important part for you as a business.
Yeah.
So if they introduce it as something that is just an alternative, and they are taking 3% off the top, that's not positive to everybody. And then, by the way, they might decide to do that. The reason why is because if they say we're going to build another virtual currency for the web and go after PayPal, which they could.
They could. Yeah.
In which case they would have to be on a fee structure very comparable with PayPal.
Yeah.
And if they go for that bigger goal, they might decide to do that and say, okay, fine, 3%, everybody will use it, and that will be just net gain. 30% is just almost prohibitive. 10% is somewhere in between.
Yeah.
And so how it's going to go, clearly they haven't figured that out. Clearly, if the probability of somebody converting is 30% higher, that makes, or they're spending 30% more because it's so much easier for. Absolutely, this is provides huge value for us. However, they usually don't mix and match. The credits gonna stay credits, and that's by itself, and you can do whatever you want with that. And all the mechanisms that they have in terms of bringing new users and reaching the users that you already had, it's pretty much separate. What they're doing right now to mix it up is that they're offering a little bit of a promotion to people who are are actually starting to use Facebook credits, but that's not that much. And so they've been very good and very smart about keeping those lines of business separate, and they should continue, frankly, to do that because they're a big company, and the moment they're going to start doing all this interconnected stuff, they're just going to create huge mess for themselves and for everybody around them. So I don't necessarily think that they're going to be able to come up with a program that will increase retention because of credits.
Yeah.
But they might provide ability for people to spend more because of credits, or they might provide ability for more people to convert because they have succeeding. Another thing that they could do, which I'm not hearing them doing, but they could, and that's complete and total speculation, they obviously will know who is the player on the platform and who is not.
Yeah.
And as we know, that business, which is virtual currency business practically, where 2% of people or 3% of people are paying for everybody else to play. But they're paying a lot. And so what it means is that those people are very valuable. If Facebook in any way, shape or form will be able to provide information about who is actually a paying member on other games to a game developer, that piece of data worth a lot of money for us.